All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick and Taylor Kyles here, back with an emergency episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast here, powered by our good friends at Prize Picks. And today, like I said, powered by an emergency, some Patriots news out in the NFL world today. First reported by NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. The New England Patriots have taken their Tuesday off day and agreed to an extension with cornerback Marcus Jones. There is no money being reported yet. However, it is a 3-year extension, which means he will get 3 new years after this one, because this is a contract year for Marcus Jones, who has taken full advantage of the fact that he is in a contract year in New England this year. He comes into the summer. Someone who, and I'll let you kind of get into it in a second, we weren't sure exactly what his fit would be in this Vrabel system, in this defense, but he took it in stride, became a captain this offseason. We know he's already been an all-pro kick returner in the past. And frankly, we talked about it yesterday on the show. We talked about it.
Punt.
Huh?
Punt returner.
Punt. I said kick. Excuse me. All-pro punt returner.
Emergency, man. This is exciting stuff.
We're freaking out. We haven't done this since that day they signed Mike Vrabel, I think, or hired Mike Vrabel. So we haven't been down in emergency fashion, but I digress. Marcus Jones, 3-year extension for the Patriots, using the contract year to his advantage, comes in, has a great start to this year. Someone who we talked about on the show yesterday, as well as on postgame on Sunday. Frankly, deserving to be an all-pro as a slot cornerback. And I know you asked him about that a little bit yesterday. So before we get into this a little bit further, just your rapid reaction on Marcus getting this, what I think everybody agrees is a well-deserved contract extension in New England.
Yeah, I got to give Mike Reese credit, because after that press conference, he actually did mention, he kind of like pulled me and Brian aside and was like, do you think that he could get extended? And we were like, yeah, no, that would make a lot of sense.
He's feeding you stuff.
Yeah, and Brett Coleman also, after I think it was the Saints game, he had DM'd me and been like, is Marcus Jones a Pro Bowler? And at that point, I had remembered the touchdown he gave up in Pittsburgh, which, obviously a lot's changed since then, but that had kind of stuck in my craw. And I was like, he's given up a couple of big plays. I just need to see this more consistently. And that's exactly what we've gotten, man. The interception he had in Buffalo, that was a huge play and another big win for them. We saw in that Saints game specifically, his ability to work through traffic and break up the pass. And even the play last night that Isaiah Bond had where he pushed him out of bounds, I think Gonzo actually made a mistake there. When I looked back at it, the way that it was distributed, it looked like they were more pattern matching, where it was supposed to be Gonzo taking anything deep and outside and Marcus Jones taking anything short and outside. Gonzo kind of played it more like he was stuck on his man and wound up in the same place as another defender. So Marcus Jones made a crazy play to realize that Bond was by himself, then kind of recovered. Because when I think I asked him about it, and he didn't go too much in depth. He kind of credited the scheme, and it was a good scheme. It was a bunch concept, and the way the routes distributed is what caused the miscommunication. But Marcus being able to do that, also like track the ball and was running and looking at it. He wasn't even really playing the hands the whole time. And then once he realized he needed to make a play, pushed him out of bounds. So he really is so John Jones-like, and it's awesome that they spent time together, and now we're seeing a similar kind of situation where Marcus Jones was obviously drafted in the 4th round, like this, or was 3rd or 4th round?
Third round.
Thank you. I get him and Jack Jones mixed up in their draft order, but I remember, like, obviously the size is an issue, but they're so physical and there's so much effort, and the consistency and the technique is there, and the leadership. John Jones was voted a captain last year, but he was one of those guys where anytime you asked Bill, you would say there's guys on this team who are leaders, even though they're not captains. And John Jones is one of the first guys that you would think of in that capacity. And now Marcus Jones getting voted a captain himself. I mean, it's just been really cool to see his rise, man. And I'll eat crow. I thought that he might be an odd man out in the beginning. I don't remember how common of a thought that was. I don't know if I was kind of alone there.
It might have been across the board, but I know we mentioned it a couple times.
Right, because usually he had guys that were like 5'11", because he didn't run a system as that relied as much on 3 safety packages as we've seen from the Patriots, where Marcus Jones used to come off the field in a lot of the situations where they were playing base packages and they still wanted to be athletic. So it would be kind of Kyle Duggar or Jabril Peppers in the slot with 2 other safeties on the back end. But now, especially because of the injuries to the defense, and this has been an underrated storyline, Marcus Jones has been playing a lot against base packages. They use some of their own base as well, but against some of these 2 tight end sets, 2 back sets, it's Marcus Jones literally in the box, kind of like a Teron Johnson, who's been one of the main guys you think of as a slot corner, who basically is also like a linebacker safety hybrid. And yeah, there's times where if Marcus Jones gets blocked by a lineman, he's going to get washed out, but he is around the ball more often than not. I think his streak of run stops in games is at least like 3 or 4 games or something like that. Like, he's an active run defender, very hard nosed. And I had a bunch of stats on it. Let me pull these up. I posted them but you see why this was a priority for the Patriots, because again, in an expanded role where he is not like coming off the field very often, maybe there's like 9 or 10 plays a game where they're in base, but other than that, Marcus Jones is playing. He, among cornerbacks this season, according to PFF, his 2 interceptions are tied for the 3rd most. His 6 forced incompletions are tied for the 8th most. I know some other places have him with 9 pass breakups, which is top 5 as well. PFF has it different for some reason.
They have what number?
They have, so forced incompletions. I think pass breakups is 4, which is still a good number, but forced incompletions, which is also sometimes if you cover a guy so close he has no chance to make it, it's not a pass breakup, but you still forced it. So in stops, just in coverage, he has 10, which is tied for the 4th most, and his missed tackle rate of 4% is tied for the 7th lowest. All of those were among cornerbacks. And in terms of run stops, he has 7, which is the 4th most among cornerbacks. And then when you look at punt return, he has an elite 91.6 grade, I believe, according to PFF on punt returns. Nobody else is in the 90s. He has the 3rd most return yards at 216, despite only 10 returns. He hasn't actually had that many this season. He's kind of more middle of the pack when it comes to that. Yards per return, 21.6 is the most. Return touchdowns, his 1 is tied for the most, and his return long of 87 yards is the 3rd longest. That yards per return touchdown, and return long all either tied or set career highs. So by a ton of metrics, not only is he playing great ball now, but he's having some of the greatest impact he's had in his entire career. So this is very well earned. And there's even some numbers in grade or something like that where he and Gonzo were just right next to each other. And we know Carlton Davis, there's been the penalties, but he's a hyper-competitive guy who's also been fantastic as a run defender and as a tackler. It's really cool to see the maturation for Marcus Jones with Christian Gonzalez, a young duo that you can continue to build around and just have to rely on. Those guys are hyper reliable players who show up in a lot of different ways.
And the other part I think that's cool, Taylor, is, and they're talking about it in the chat right now, and I want to get to it a little bit in a second, is the fact that he was drafted here, developed here, and extended here. It's something that Elliot Wolf has said they want to try and do here. He was a part of one of Bill Belichick's final drafts. And as bad as people think the drafting has been here over the last couple of years, which, look, it obviously hasn't been great. We've gone through those whole classes in the past. But
no one said he couldn't draft defense. No one says that. No one says that. It's offense. It's like, you want to talk about Marcus Jones. Let's look at the offensive players in that draft. For being 100%. Fair, yes, knocked it out of the park with defense. But offense is why Bill, the GM, got fired. And also, in part, Bill, the coach, obviously.
For sure. So I want to get into that in just a second. Before I do, I know this is going to be a little bit of a quick hitter here, guys, but I do want to tell you guys about our friends and sponsor over at Prize Picks. Because as you know, this episode and every episode of Pat's Daily is powered by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better on Prize Picks. And although the weather might be changing, the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks right now by getting $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you want to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns, you can do all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. And I know I said if you want to play Josh Allen's more pass yards, rush yards, touchdowns, but play Drake Mays because he's playing at an MVP level right now. And you can get in on the fun over at the Prize Picks app. So download it today. Use code CLNS. You get $50 in the lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Found another fun Marcus Jones stat.
Sure, let's hear it.
His 53.8 passer rating allowed in the slot is the lowest in the NFL.
Okay, so
damn, he's good.
He is. He's a great player. He was drafted here. In the chat, Steven says that's what draft and develop looks like when it's working. Someone responded and said he was drafted by Belichick. In fact, he was. So was Christian Gonzalez. So were a couple more of the players on this defense. I know Kyle Duggar doesn't necessarily fit the bill of a great player right now, but Christian Barmore having an impact as well. So the again, as bad as I guess the last couple of years have been drafting, a lot of the cornerstone players on this team, talk about Marcus Jones, Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, Will Campbell, Christian Barmore. Like, these guys were drafted here, and now they're seeing, the fruits of their labor on the back end. And I know there was a little bit of an influx with, the Anthony Jennings extension and the Josh Uche extension, and a couple of those in the last couple of years that haven't necessarily panned out. But this one feels like one that is truly well-deserved, and not just hey, let's keep the same guys around. But no, he came, he balled out. Was a third-round pick. We developed him into something that is obviously valuable for this team, and he gets rewarded for it. So kudos to that, and just wanted to kind of not wrap there, but kind of talk about the fact that he was, again, a drafted and developed player here with the Patriots.
Yeah, and again, the defensive stuff isn't really surprising because he did have a really good eye for that. And also the evolution of Marcus Jones in this defense, where honestly, when he first got here, they were playing more of what they're doing now, where it was more of a quarters defense because they wanted to sit on a fence. It was John Jones, Jack Jones, and Marcus Jones, which was just so annoying coverage-wise. Oh, my God. I would get confused all the time and mixed up. But there was a bunch of undersized but very competitive corners, so you were just thinking, all right, let's try to create disruption, let them be athletic and explosive and just make plays on the ball because we know we can't really cover guys mano-a-mano. Especially, like, I remember that Bengals game is the best example where it was clear that they were not trying to scrap with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and understandably so. So that's another thing we could ask is maybe if that has been better for him in a way, because they also don't play a ton of man anymore. Last week, once again, we didn't see them play a lot of man coverage, and when they did, they kind of got burned, and Marcus Jones ended up making up for what looked like a mistake from his teammates. So yeah, it's nice that it's also credit to the coaching. How many of these guys are starting to finally emerge where for years we thought they might be lost causes, and it was because of the coaching? And I'm kind of vindicated too, because yes, last year's draft didn't go very well.
Right.
And for so many reasons, but
a lot of it was on offense though, like you mentioned. There was only one on defense, and it was Dial. So
that is very true. But yeah, it's just, there's been like talented players that just haven't really gotten a chance to show exactly what they could do. Not like Marcus Jones was some diamond in the rough or anything. Like, we knew he had potential. But also the health of not only him being able to play, that's been a huge factor. And kind of one thing that if you want to criticize the move, you could say, well, are you sure that he's going to stay healthy? Because usually he does miss games. I actually, can you look up on Pro Football Reference how many games he's played in each season? I feel like his first year he missed in the beginning and then played pretty much all of them. But availability for this cornerback room has been huge. And when one guy goes down, it's often forced him to play outside. But for a guy who's 5'8" and his size, when he does have to bump outside, he's still competitive and gives you the ability to give you quality play instead of having to throw your fourth or fifth best corner out there. So he's extremely valuable, and it's good for him as well that he's been healthy enough. And maybe we got to ask like what if his routine has changed or what's exactly happening. But he's taken a lot in initiating a lot of hits and is still given 100%.
Definitely. He played 15 games as a rookie. Then he missed 15 games his second year when he had the I think it was the shoulder. He only played 2 games in his second season. Last year he played 14, and this year he's played all 8 so far. So
awesome. Fantastic.
That 1 year was tough. You're right, and it kind of felt
him
like
and Gonzo. They lost him in the Dolphins game, and it forced Gonzo to go on Tyreek Hill, and then Gonzo went down like a week or 2 later. That was crazy.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Gonzo because I wanted to wrap with this. Gonzo also set for an extension, not this season necessarily, but in due time, he's kind of setting himself up to be, one of, if not the top paid cornerback in football. That top number right now, as far as AAV or whatever they call it in football, it's not AVV, it's or AAV, they call it something else.
Average annual value.
Average, yeah, but there's another term that people use in football. I digress. Sauce Gardner's getting $30.1 million a year right now. Stingley is number 2 at 30. I know that Gonzo will likely pace this out, but I'm curious to see the number on Marcus and where they kind of got the value here. Now, I'm not saying he reset it by any means. He's probably going to be, maybe in the $15 million a year mark. We'll see what happens there. But I think it's interesting too that they get this done. They lock up one cornerback. And then Christian Gonzalez can come in and get the real big payday on the other end. So good stuff in the back end all around for this team.
It's going to be a lot of money tied in that defense because the defensive line they just paid out. And Harold Landry, you figure that's probably one more year. You get some of the carryover in the cap. Like on the raw books, they're going to be behind. Like they are in bad cap health when you look ahead. But that's before you carry over the money. And so you still have Drake May.
This is what you do when you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract or a young quarterback on a rookie deal, though. You can kind of stack these things up and with the way Drake's playing, take advantage of his, MVP level play on a relatively cheap deal for a quarterback.
Keep drafting offense. That's going to be a huge thing because you just did Jared Wilson and Will Campbell. You significantly addressed the left side, at least for now. It's the left side of your offensive line with 2 of your higher capital picks. Did it with Kyle Williams. You might have to do it one more year. Get yourself a right tackle. Get yourself a young tight end who can get really good chemistry with Drake May. Obviously, we know what he's done with Hunter Henry. Can you imagine if he just had a freak at that position? But you did it at running back. So get yourself, Kayshon Boutte, honestly.
Right.
That could be your guy. So TBD, but I think that's going to be one other note that we have to think about long-term is you're going to have to use probably the later picks on the defensive players like a Craig Woodson where you get a starter in the 4th round because those early picks are going to have to bolster up the offense because so much money is about to be tied into that. Not only the cornerback room, but also it already is in the defensive line and linebacker. Robert Spillane getting paid a pretty penny.
100%. So that'll do it here for our quick hitter edition of the show here on Patriots Daily. Again, Marcus Jones signing a 3-year contract extension with the Patriots, the 2022 3rd-round pick, getting a well-deserved raise and extension with the team that drafted him a couple years ago. Again, as we know, all-pro punt returner as a rookie, turning in quite the solid season so far this year. And Mike Vrabel and that front office doing right by him and locking him up for the next 3 years. So that'll do it for us here on Patriots Daily. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to Patriots Press Pass. I know Greg Bedard podcast went live a little bit earlier. We have an All 32 coming up with Mike Giardi at 1:30. So plenty more Patriots content here on New England's off day. And then we'll be back tomorrow with our normal Wednesday mailbag on the show as well as the Pats get ready to welcome the Atlanta Falcons to Gillette Stadium this coming weekend. So again, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to this emergency live edition of Patriots Daily. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you soon. Peace out, everyone.